So we're on Touch for Health level 1, fix as you go balance using 14 muscles. I'm going to be working through a balance sheet starting on page 25 in your workbooks, and I'm going to be working here with my friend Natasha, who's agreed to very kindly be my model for today's demonstration. So in your worksheet you will be filling out your form. The name, obviously, Natasha would go in here. She's female, as far as I'm aware, identifying as a female today, and then filling out the appropriate age category. So first of all, we do a pre-evaluation. So we're really asking you how you're feeling. So this is an opportunity for you to check into your body. Notice, is there any areas of perhaps restriction, discomfort? Perhaps when you think about where your feet are on the floor, whether there's any discrepancy around the weight distribution going through your feet.
Okay.
So what I'd encourage you to do, and I like to do this with my client, is I like to, stand opposite them, say this is not me assessing you in any way other than just to we're having a sort of a conversation around what's going on for you. So perhaps it helps just to close your eyes to start with and just scan your body, maybe starting from your feet to start with, and just notice if you're feeling anything down there in terms of your weight distribution.
I feel my weight tends to go forward.
Okay, great.
And this pressure up here.
Okay, fantastic. So a bit more sort of
sinusy, I'd say, or something like that. That's
okay.
what I'm feeling a little bit when I connected.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. So I've made notes of this in this section here, pre-evaluation. I would also be asking Natasha just if you would be happy for me to just to observe and give you some feedback around what I might be seeing. So essentially, I can't see too much going on in terms of imbalances. There is a slight discrepancy up in your shoulder area. I can perhaps notice your left shoulder is slightly higher. Can you feel that at all or not? It might be that I just need to pop your hair behind your shoulder. Just a slight, that right shoulder slightly slumped down in comparison. There's more of a curve.
Well, there's that hip thing that I've got like a higher, I've always been
slightly,
sort of more of a, I guess, an inclination of the left hip that goes up, so maybe that lifts that whole side.
Okay. Are you aware of that hip now or not so much?
Recently, because of a bit of back pain that I used to have, which I still kind of do if I'm honest. But then the physiotherapist, like when they sort of align you, she said, oh, you've got this hip that is a bit higher than the other.
Okay, interesting. So perhaps that's what's translating. And then if I could just ask you to stand side on, can I? Would that be all right? And we'll just have a look to see. So currently, I can, interestingly, from what you were saying earlier about that forward weight on your feet, there's possibly a slight sort of forward tilt on your body, isn't there? All the way through. And then if you could just face the opposite way, so your back is facing me, fantastic. And again, nothing too obvious, but that's fantastic. Wonderful. So I've put those details in this section, so we've got a reference point to come back to at the end. So in terms of a goal, this needs to be something that it's a positive statement, it's possible, it's personal to you, and is in the present tense. So usually it starts with I am, or I feel, or I can, something like that, which is essentially the opposite of perhaps what you're feeling now. So if you've got a challenge or a discomfort or a sense of something that's not serving you in this moment,
right,
or perhaps in the future, what is that? What's going on? You mentioned the sort of feeling.
The pressure. I feel pressure, or I am pressure.
So we want to put that into a positive statement. So you want perhaps something that doesn't feel pressure.
Okay. So I feel light. I feel clarity.
Great. So I feel light, or I feel clarity, or both perhaps.
Yeah, I think
light and clear. I don't know.
Yeah, or clear. Probably that's the word actually. I feel clear.
Yeah.
In my head.
Yeah, we can be very specific.
Yeah, I feel clear in my head.
Okay, so what we can do now is before we put that into your body, we need to just check that your body's ready to receive a balance.
Okay.
So this is kinesiology, which uses the feedback of the body through muscle testing or muscle monitoring to know or understand where the imbalances might lie. So we're going to, it is a contact therapy, so I will be working with you with obviously your permission to move different parts of your body into position, and I'll be applying a little bit of pressure for you to resist. And then the balancing techniques are massaging points, holding points, running meridians, which involves tracing the direction of the meridian along your body. We might bring in some nutrition, we might use some emotional techniques and that sort of thing. So are you happy for me to work with you like that?
Yes, I am.
Fantastic. So we have our education and we have worked to get our permission. So now we're going to do a little technique called cross crawl. So I'm going to ask you to just follow me, you just give yourself a bit of space, and we're taking the opposite hand and opposite leg to meet each other, although if you can't do that, it doesn't matter, it's just the intention. And this creates integration between the left and right hemispheres of the brain. It's a form of brain gym really, and we're just activating the neural pathways, helping with coordination, memory, learning, and generally feeling in balance. We can also use it to activate our energy as well and feel more energized. So we can take that behind us now, so we can challenge the body a little bit more.
It's a funny one, isn't it?
It is, and it can take a bit of time to get ourselves
the
into that space. Fantastic. And then we can go to the side. You're doing it well done, fantastic.
I'm literally just coughing. If you
Well,
said
that's
to me,
perfect because actually, again, I do this a lot. So I remember when I first did it, I was falling over.
Yeah.
You're doing very, very well. And then the next one is actually the same side, forwards and back.
Okay.
So again,
So
just
the
make
same
sure-
side.
Yeah, brilliant. Wonderful. That's great. So that's our cross crawl. The next thing we need to do is just something called switching. So we put one hand over our navel, 2 fingers and a thumb, literally just sit below. We've got our clavicle or collarbones here, and we're going in the groove. Below that, just above the rib below. So it's in that little groove either side of the breastbone, and we're just going to rub that. Fantastic. Sometimes it can be a bit tender, but hopefully it's not. And then we're going to swap that around.
I'm moving my belly.
Well, it's a bit like rubbing your
Yeah.
whatever it is,
Yeah.
patting your head and rubbing
Yeah.
your belly, whatever. It's just all, again, brain gym stuff.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. And then we can take these 2 fingers and a thumb and we can just place them above and below our top and bottom lip, and we're going to give them a rub. So if you've got long nails or if that feels uncomfortable, you can move your fingers and thumb to the side as well, just to give that less of a sort of imposition, I suppose, if you've got those nails. And then again we swap over. I'm going to just do it that way because that's what I'm used to doing. Great. And then we're going to go putting our hands on the coccyx. So we're rubbing with the whole hand or 2 fingers, and we're just taking the skin up and down over the bone. So we're not rubbing the skin itself, but the bone underneath. Fantastic. And once again, we're just going to swap that. Fantastic. So now we need to establish what we call an indicator muscle. So this is really just to work with the body to know whether it's responding as we expect it to with our muscle monitoring. So if you're happy, I'm going to work with the muscle that sits at the front of the arm here.
Yeah.
I want you to just put this arm into sort of 30 degrees in front of you and just hold that position whilst I support you on the opposite side. I'm going to use my 2 fingers. I'm just going to make sure you can see this. 2 fingers just above the wrist, and I'm going to apply a bit of pressure, and I want you to match that pressure. The direction I'm going just before I do that is downwards like that.
Yeah.
All right? So I want you to hold. How does that feel to do?
Okay.
Easy?
Yeah.
Great. So we're going to just challenge that by just squeezing the belly of the muscle. And I want you to do that again and hold. Oh, what happens there?
Goes down a bit.
Yeah. What does that feel like to you? Is it as easy to hold or not? Is that more of a challenge?
Yeah, I mean, it's not, obviously, I have to put more pressure.
Great. So are you feeling, so what I'm trying to sort of share with you is that when the muscle isn't firing as it should, then there's a kind of sponginess, isn't there, to it, and actually having to work a bit harder to maintain that position. So now I've just, what we call lengthen to strengthen, so we're moving those fibres away from each other, and can you feel now? It's easy, isn't it? Again, brilliant.
Yeah.
So with that, I'm just going to check that we're doing, that again, it's responding as we want it to. So we're going to just run this meridian up the centre here and just ask the body to hold. That's great. And then I want to just take it the wrong way and hold. And what happens there? Can you feel that drop down? So again, that's what I expect. So I'm taking the energy the wrong way, and we come back and that feels nice and steady again. Then we're going to just test for hydration. So I'm just tugging the hair at the back of the head. Oh. I'm not surprised because we both had a coffee. So let's have some more water.
Let's drink the water.
And hopefully we will return back to our hydrated selves. So we both drink water because it could be either one of us. And again, I'm asking for a hold to start with. Then I'm going to tug and hold. Oh, that feels better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Fantastic. So hydration is complete. And then the last thing we need to do is set our goal. So I'm going to ask you to put both arms in front of you.
Right.
I'm going to ask you to hold, and let's see how that feels to match the pressure. Easy?
I think so, yes.
Great. So now we say the goal.
Okay.
Which is, I feel clear, wasn't it?
I have a clear head.
Oh yes, I have a clear head.
Yeah.
So I'd like you to say that.
I have a clear head.
So you can see when Natasha does that, is her arms drop.
Yeah.
Now what I noticed is you closed your eyes when you said it.
Yeah.
Would you mind keeping your eyes open?
Right,
And let's see what that response is. So if you could say it again for me.
I have a clear head.
We've still got the same response. So that's great. So that suggests that we've got the right goal, and because it's a challenge to the body. Now we're going to work to balance that. So I'm going to just, rather than balance Natasha as we go along, I'm going to just put her into the different positions just because I'm keen for you to have the content around the positioning and muscle direction, etc., rather than having to go through the whole balance. So we're going to now ask you to hold. The direction I'm going is here. So this is supraspinatus. This is, oh no, sorry, before I do that, I want you to tell me, how hard is it for you to, or rather, how close to achieving your goal are you? So if I was to give you the scale 0 to 10, 10 being I'm feeling clear in my head, and 0 is I'm nowhere near that, where would you put yourself on that?
I'd say 7.
7. So you're nearly there, but you've still got a bit of a way to go.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So again, that's quite important to have that subjective assessment before we start. So now we're going to just work our way around the body. So I'd like you to hold your position there. This is the central meridian. So this is supraspinatus, and the direction is in towards the body. And hold. So I'm supporting Natasha on the opposite side. So that feels like it's holding on both sides. Would you agree? Great. So if I can turn you around, this is the teres major muscles. So this is the governing. The hand goes just above the buttock there. The elbow back. I'm supporting and bracing on the opposite side of the shoulder, and the direction is forwards like so. So I'd like you to hold that position, Natasha, if you can, and I'm going to apply a bit of pressure. How does that feel?
A little
bit spongy, isn't it?
A little bit.
Let's try this side. So again, bringing the elbow back and hold.
Yeah, that feels easier.
Yeah, great. So in this situation, because we've got one side unlocking, we go straight to our neurolymphatics. So I feel like I want to give you a balance because actually you're kind enough to offer your services. So let's just do this real time and trust that this is going to happen quite swiftly.
I'm going to float.
You will float. So do let me know if this is uncomfortable for you. Obviously I'm working very much with your permission, and if at any point it's too much, you must let me know.
At the beginning it was feeling a little bit, but now it's easing off.
Great. So this is what's really important, is we constantly get the feedback from our...
Actually, yeah, you can tell the difference. That doesn't feel as sort of a little bit painful on that side.
Yeah.
The other one, yeah, sensitive.
Yeah. So now we're going to go to the points at the back, so I'm just going to show you where those are. So we're going at the top of the spine, either side here. Again, I'm always bracing Natasha on the opposite side of the place that I'm working, so we don't want her falling forwards. I have to feel entirely secure throughout. How's that feeling?
That feels alright.
Yeah, and then I'm going to just move my hand across at the front to be able to come in at the front, come in at the same point as I am applying the pressure at the back. How's that side?
Yeah, it's not as bad as the front.
No, okay. Great. So which arm was it? I can't even remember.
This one?
This one that was unlocking, wasn't it? So we're going to take the hand behind again.
Yeah.
We're going to take your elbow back. I'm going to brace. I'm going to ask you to hold. Oh, how does that feel?
Yeah, a bit better.
Better.
Yeah.
So can you just put your hand over one of the points that I've worked on, so keeping your elbow back. And we're just going to try again and just see if that's what the body, all it needs. And it feels fine, doesn't it? So that's our challenge. So we would, in this instant, we will have turned over our page. We would have ticked in the both locking for the supraspinatus. In this one, it was the right hand unlocking, so it was the teres major tick in the right unlocking, and we went straight to the neurolymphatic, so we would have ticked there and we put a little C to say we've challenged. Sorry, not that one, that one. And then we move on. So the next one we're on is our stomach meridian, which is pectoralis major clavicular. So with this one, I want the arm directly in front of Natasha with the hand facing outwards. So we're going to again brace on the opposite shoulder, and the direction is down and out that way. All right, so I want you to hold that position. There we go. And hold. How does that feel?
Yeah.
Easy?
Yeah.
Great. So again, this one, bring the arm directly in front of you. I'm going down and out.
No, that feels okay.
Easy?
Yeah.
Great, wonderful. So the next one is our latissimus dorsi muscle, which relates to our spleen meridian. And this muscle comes up, sorry if I can ask you to turn around, comes up right from the hip bone all the way across here, and then tucks into the front of the arm here. So in order to get our insertion closer to the origin, we need to bring the arm down, hand facing out, so the rotation is there, and the direction is going to be this way. Okay. All right, so I would probably support at the top of the arm, asking you to hold. I'm coming out. Can you feel that?
Yeah,
that's coming outwards.
Yeah.
So let's try on this side. So the hand is facing inwards, or the back of the hand is facing inwards, hand facing out, and I'm coming outwards. That one feels easy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So again with this one, because it's a single unlock, we go straight to a neurolymphatic.
Right.
So for the spleen meridian, that's at the level of T7, which is about mid-bra line, just below, and we go either side. So we give that a little rub. How does that feel?
That feels alright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just work on it for a couple more seconds just to see if that activates anything, or is that okay?
No, it feels quite nice. You're giving me a bit of a massage.
Oh, good. What about this side?
Yeah.
It's a bit more tight.
Yes, that's a bit tight, so a bit more sensitive, yeah.
Okay. Give that a nice little go. So we're really stimulating the lymph here. It needs to be quite firm and quite vigorous. Fantastic. Is that easy enough at all? Not quite yet. So we tend to work for about 20 to 30 seconds. And then that doesn't mean we're fully cooked, as it were. We might want to move away from it and come back to it in a moment. So I feel like I've done enough there. And then we're going to go to the point at the front of the body, which actually sits on the rib cage, just about here, level 9 of the ninth rib in between there. And we have a little bit niggly there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't particularly like.
No, it's a weird
rib
place to
thing,
have
yeah.
worked. And particularly if it's out of balance, it can be really tender. So again, we're working with permission, so please
It's alright.
make sure
It feels alright now. I think you moved it a bit from the rib, so that felt a bit easier.
Okay, so again, sometimes it does move, and we just need to just make sure that we've covered every aspect of it. Is that feeling comfortable now?
Yeah, a bit better, yeah.
Good. So let's just go back to that point on the back, which was, so again, I'm supporting Natasha at the front here, and we're just making, in fact, I'm going a bit higher, it feels better to do so. How does that feel now?
Yeah, a bit better.
A bit better?
Yeah.
So what I tend to do is just to see whether we've done enough is to go to the body and ask the question. So it was this side, wasn't it?
It was this side.
It was this side,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm very dyslexic. So the arm is straight,
Yeah.
tucked in, I'm coming out this way. How does that feel now?
Yeah, better.
Much better.
Yeah.
So again, we challenge it. So we get Natasha just to place her hand over the neurolymphatic point that we were working on at the front. And I'm going to just ask you to hold again and just notice if that feels the same or if it changes, and hold. Oh, can you hold it in or not?
Yeah. Oh.
No. Do you see how it affects that? So we've had enough of the neurolymphatic, but we now need to move on to the next correction technique. So we can now go to the NV, which is our neurovascular, which is on our head. So I tend to do this sitting down because sometimes you can feel a bit woozy. So if you'd like to sit down there. And these points can be found literally just above the ears. Oops. And again, we're just, it's a very light pressure as if you're placing your fingers over your eyeballs. So yeah. Just really feeling for a pulse if you can. Often that's not felt until you're a little bit more experienced, but just checking in with your client, making sure that they're comfortable and not feeling lightheaded or woozy.
This is quite calming.
It usually is this sort of technique, so just So sometimes a shift of energy translates through into a sigh, or in some cases a burp, or all sorts of different responses. So just, I know I often do a big sigh, or yawn even. How are you doing?
Good.
Yeah. So we're going to check into the body again, see if it's had
I
enough.
was quite enjoying that.
Yeah, we may need to do more, but let's see. So it was this, which one was it?
The right,
That one,
the
so
right,
yeah, I'll
yeah.
come around this way. Thank you, I'm glad you're keeping tabs. Of course I would naturally be writing it down as I go. And I'm coming out this way, I want
Right,
you to
okay.
hold in.
Yeah.
Oh, that feels nice, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I'd like you to put your hand, if you would, with your other hand just over the point I was working on. And look, we've got a lock now, so we know the body's had enough. So that's great. So we're now going to be moving on to the next one. So we're now going on to our heart meridian. So that's our subscapularis muscle. Now this one, if you remember, needs to be deactivated in terms of the extra muscles that we have going on around the shoulder. So I want you just to relax this elbow and just allow your arm just to drop if you can into my hand. So I'm going to take the full weight of your arm. You're good at this because you're a therapist yourself. Wonderful, but often people struggle to let go.
Yeah.
So I'm just imagining that the arm is dropping to the floor and I've got that weight and I've got my hand hooked into the elbow there just so I can really provide that support. So I'm going to be placing my two fingers underneath the wrist and I'm going to be coming up in this direction.
Okay.
So I want you just to, again, just try and let that shoulder drop and just hold that position and match my pressure. Let's just do that again. And hold. How does that feel?
It was alright.
Yeah, I think now
yeah.
you've kind of connected with it,
Yeah.
it feels easier. So again, it takes a moment sometimes to find that muscle. Dropping the arm down, I'm asking you to hold. How does that feel? Yeah, feels easy, doesn't it? Great. So then we move on to the next muscle, which is the quadriceps, which relates to the small intestine meridian. And that is our muscle that connects over the hip and the knee joint. So we need to activate both of those joints. So the position is up there. So I tend to ask the person I'm working with just to use me as a stabilising point, and we're going to bring that leg up with the toe slightly in front of the knee, but relaxed foot, okay? So I want you to hold that position if you're comfortable to do so, and I'm going to apply the pressure in 2 points. So we're going down in that way. How does that feel?
A little bit, yeah.
It's a struggle, isn't it?
Yeah.
What about this one
Oh,
here?
strength there. Oh, it's not about strength, is it?
It's not, that's exactly right. It's not about strength, it's about activation.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
Better.
Yeah, easy, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think
easy.
when it's balanced, it's just effortless, isn't
Yeah.
it? So we've got an unlock on the left side, which means again it's on one side only, so we go straight to that neurolymphatic point. And with the small intestine, it's quite a large area below our diaphragm, and then some points at the back. So again, we need to make sure we've got permission to work in that area because it can feel quite vulnerable.
Yeah.
So I'm going to support Natasha at the back, and it's just to begin with, just connect with this area before I start doing anything too much, and just say, are you all right with that?
Yeah.
And then very gently, I'm just circling the points.
A little bit sensitive.
I can feel that.
Yeah.
And I can feel quite a lot of holding here. It feels quite solid. And even if people, you know, have got really defined stomach muscles, they should have some give in them when they're in their relaxed state. They shouldn't be in their tense kind of contracted form all the time. You all right with that?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's beginning to soften a bit.
Yeah. It's definitely a little bit sensitive, but it's.
So I tend to like to start in the sort of the middle and work my way to the outside. Just stick to one side to start with. Felt like a bit of a shift then, I had a bit of a sigh. And then we'll just do the same on the other side. So again, I'm just going to swap my hands over at the back, coming to that centre point, and we're just going to do the same. Just notice any differences on this side. I feel like
It's still a little.
but there, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I shouldn't wear jewellery when you're doing this. I don't when I'm working professionally. I'm just dressed up in a slightly different outfit today. So obviously neat hair, short nails, and jewellery. How's that?
That's better.
Yeah.
It's more that. Yeah. That. Yeah. I
Interesting.
didn't realise that was
So again, this is what's so interesting. So often we don't know what we're carrying until somebody connects with it. And this is an opportunity to really reconnect with our bodies. So again, I've worked it for a little while, and I'm very keen not to overdo it. So I'm going to just hold that position. Ask Natasha if you wouldn't mind just turning around so I can show you where I'm working on the back. And we're just working as a number of points just sort of towards the lower aspect of this thoracic spine. Just gradually working our way down. How does that feel?
Also.
A little bit tight, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There we go. So again.
Gosh, I did not realise that was so sensitive.
So what I'm conscious of all the time is my posture, actually, and being quite tall, I can very easily stoop. So it's worth us thinking about that when we're working, making sure that we're in a comfortable position. If it means widening your stance, so you can bring your centre of gravity a bit lower, bending the knees. How's that feeling? Is that easy enough at all or not? No, it's quite
yeah.
Let's go over here. Quite nice to give the body something to think about.
Yeah, that's better.
Rather than forcing it, inviting it to let go.
Yeah.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, I felt I was a bit tense there actually.
Nice. Let's go back in here. Not easy enough at all.
Yeah, that feels a bit better. That's
the point, pinch point, isn't it?
It's a pinch point.
So what I'm going to do, because it is quite tender, is I'm just going to hold it with firm pressure and just allow Natasha just to really breathe into it and feel into it and just give it permission to just soften. Because what I don't want to do is get this response of stress where suddenly the body goes into a more tense. And then we just gently give a bit more stimulation. How's that?
Still tender though. Definitely
longer. So because it's quite sensitive, I'm going to encourage Natasha just to put her hand on her forehead. Now these are covering the ESR points, so there are emotional stress release points, and that just can help support the body to process any emotional context to this imbalance. And I know it's a balancing technique in its own right, but sometimes it can be useful to be brought alongside other techniques. Does that help it a little bit?
It does
Yeah,
actually.
so it's quite calming.
Calms it, yeah.
Great. So I'm just going to check these front points. How are they feeling now?
They're feeling better.
Yeah. Softened up, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm going back into here. Still a little bit of something there, isn't there?
Yeah.
That's definitely easier on that side.
Yeah.
To agree.
It's on the right.
Right point. Definitely improving.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that's beginning to soften there.
Yeah, that does feel better now.
Great. So now I'm going to ask Natasha to come back and using again me as the support.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going back to this. Was this the one that was out of balance or the other one? No, it was this one, wasn't it?
It was this one, yeah.
So bringing that toe in front,
Yeah.
holding that position, I want you to hold. How
Yeah,
does that feel now?
That's better.
So if you could just challenge it by putting your hand over that point that we worked on there. Lovely.
Yeah.
It's holding, so we can move on. Fantastic. So that's our quadriceps, and then we're going on to the peroneus muscle, which is related to the bladder meridian. So if you could just take a seat on your chair there for me. So with this one, we need to put our hand underneath the heel, connected with the floor beneath it. The idea is that we're bringing the little toe round, sort of curling it round towards the ear, essentially, keeping this toe nice and relaxed. And just, that's it, not too forced up, because actually other muscles can get recruited in that process. So it's a gentle lift and curl up to that outside edge. So if you could just hold that position for me, and I'm just going to apply some pressure down the outside of the foot, but I'm just going down. So I want you to hold. And how does that feel?
All right.
Nice and easy. It should be really effortless. Again, rotating that little toe out towards the ear, dropping the big toe, and again, I'm coming down. And that feels nice and steady too, doesn't it? Fantastic. So that's our bladder meridian. I want you to stand up, and we're going to go into the kidney meridian, which is our psoas muscle. Now, these are big muscles that come from the front of the spine, and they come down the front of the hip, and they go into the top of our leg. So the position we want to get into is slightly forward and rotating outwards. Great. And then the direction is going to be away. So if
That way?
Yeah, so if we start with this leg,
Okay.
as I'm on this side of you, if you could come this way and use me again as the support, I want you to bring the leg forward, knee straight, and the leg, that's it, rotated outwards. I'm supporting on the same side. I'm going to apply my 2 fingers to the lower ankle, just above the ankle joint, and I'm coming in that direction, so towards me.
Right.
So I want you to hold. How does that feel?
That's all right.
Nice and easy. Yeah. And again on this side, so foot turned out, and I'm coming towards me.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So that's our psoas muscle, kidney meridian. Now we move on to the circulation sex meridian and our gluteus medius muscle, which is a muscle that sits sort of on the outside here of our nice bottom muscle.
Yeah.
Sits below the big gluteus maximus muscle, and this one essentially is responsible for bringing the leg out to the side. So the foot needs to be relaxed, and you're just
That
bringing it out. Yeah.
Okay.
So what I'd like you to do, again, use me as support. Bring
Yeah.
this leg out to the side to start with. Relax the foot, and I want you to, again, I'm going to open my stance, and I'm going to just support on the opposite leg or hip, and I'd ask you to hold. Fantastic. And we'll do the same on the other side. And hold.
Oh, I'm falling. Right there.
And hold. Great. So we need to make sure the body's stable before we
Yeah.
actually do the muscle monitor. Fantastic. So then we move on to our teres minor muscle, which relates to our triple warmer meridian. So that's arm like so. So we're supporting the elbow, making sure that that's in line with the body. The hand is facing forward, and the pressure is on the wrist, just below the wrist really.
Okay.
And we're coming forwards like that. So I want you to hold. How does that feel?
Good.
Nice and easy. Just drop the elbow to touch, so we've just got a little gap between the body and the elbow. Again, forward position and hold. How's that
Yeah.
feel? Nice.
Good.
Then we move on to our gallbladder meridian, so that's the anterior deltoid muscle. That's back to what we used as our indicator muscle to start with. So it's 30 degrees flexion, and I'm going to be taking the arm downwards. So I want you to hold. How does that feel?
Yeah.
Easy?
Easy.
Same again on this side, and hold. Yeah. Nice? Yeah.
Easy.
And then we go to the liver meridian, which is the pectoralis major sternal this time, so that's the attachment to the sternum. So the direction this time is going up and out. So we bring the arm in front, hand facing outwards, and I use the thumb to do the pressure. So I want you to hold. I'm going this way. Hold.
I'm trying to.
Not so much, not so much. Okay, and let's try this side. And hold. Ah, can you feel that?
Yeah.
So both sides are unlocking. So in this instance, thank you for this because this is nice to demonstrate, we always go to the spinal reflex. So the spinal reflex for the liver meridian is, I'll double check before I tell you the wrong detail, but that is right in the middle of your back here.
Right.
Oops. So it's about that level there. So I'm going to support Natasha at the front here with your permission, and we're just literally with this, we place our 2 fingers, firm pressure on the spine itself, and we're taking the skin up and down over the vertebra. How does that feel?
A little tender.
A little tender. So sometimes with this it does increase in terms of sensitivity as we work on it, and sometimes it doesn't, so that's fine. So you just let me know, is that feeling
No, it's feeling better.
better?
Actually.
Great.
Yeah.
So then we explore the one below, because sometimes we're not quite on it. How does that one feel? Feels easy?
That's an easy one, yeah.
And then we go to the one above. How's that one feel?
A little tender, but not too bad.
Not too bad, so we'll just make sure we clear that. How's that one feel?
Yeah.
Yeah, should we try that?
Yeah.
So we're going to check in with the body and just notice if that's done anything. So I'm coming up and out. We are, aren't we, still? So let's try this one. Notice if that one's done anything. And hold. Ah,
That one's better.
that one's better.
Yeah.
So we can now move to the neurolymphatic because we've now got one unlocking. So the neurolymphatic for our liver meridian is actually underneath the kind of the breast on this side. So it's where our underwire might be going. So if you're happy, I'm going to just work very carefully and gently along this line here. A bit like it.
Yeah.
Again, remembering that we've got that ESR point that we can cover if need be.
That's not too bad. It was the point before, I think. Yeah.
So we do go along that line and just make sure that's clear. Going back to the original point. That one.
Yeah. Do I do this?
Yeah, if it was a bit too punchy.
It's all that bit there.
So we're always checking in with our client, making sure that we're keeping an eye on their face and facial expressions, because that gives a lot away. Making sure we're very much working with consent. It's not too much. To ease.
Yeah, a bit.
So we might just give that a little bit of a break, give it something to think about, and then we're going to go back to the point on the shoulder at the back, which happens to be one point quite close to the shoulder blade, around here. Can you know when you're on it? How's that feel?
It doesn't feel too bad.
No, a bit more there or a bit more there?
There.
There, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So again, just work with that feedback, because usually you know when you're on it. It can be a bit
Tense.
tense, a bit sore,
Yeah.
sensitive. Hopefully So we're looking sort of 20 to 30 seconds of work. Can be longer. If it's been stuck for a long time, it can take a bit more work to break it down.
Yeah, it's not too bad though.
Great. So I'm just going to come back just to that area at the front. How's that feel now?
Yeah, it feels a bit better.
So I would encourage you to, rather than keep hammering it, just go back to the muscle and just notice how is it responding now. So we're going up and out with this one. Was this one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And hold. Ah, completely different, isn't it?
Yeah.
So now just put your hand back on that area that I was working, and we're challenging the body now, and hold. Ta-da! It unlocks it, doesn't it?
Oh, right.
So it's saying to me that it's had enough of the neurolymphatic balance, but it needs something else. So we're now going to go to your liver points on your neurovascular points on your head.
Right.
So we're going to ask you to just sit down again.
So many words, so many words. Neurovascular.
Neurovascular. So we're working on the blood, the circulatory system now. So with this one, it's just on the hairline up here. And essentially, when we think about the goal, and it's quite nice to bring your client back to the goal when you're working on any of these points, but particularly these points, because actually there's not too much going on for them. They can really focus in on that goal. And actually it was all about the head, wasn't it? So this is why these particular balancing techniques may be more powerful, perhaps, or needed. How are you doing?
Yeah, calm.
Great. So because I had a shift, I'm going to ask Natasha to stand up and let's see if that has reflected in the muscle. So we're going up and out and hold. Completely different, isn't it?
Yeah.
So again, if I could get you to cover the points just that I was on up here, and I want you to hold. Great. So we're happy that the body's had enough to balance that particular meridian. So then we move on to the next muscle, which relates to our lung meridian. So that's our serratus anterior muscle, which is our hitchhiking muscle. It's the one where we reach forward, the thumb remains on the top, so you're really pushing, there we go. So it's a kind of, excuse me, you're pushing that arm out of its socket, but really beyond its comfortable spot. And I'm just literally putting my two fingers on the angle of this scapula. And this is where I'm looking for the movement. So the lever is here. I'm asking you to hold as I come down. How's that feel?
That's
Nice and easy.
Mm.
So we'll do the same on this one. So you're reaching forward. I've got long arms, so I don't need to move position. So I've just repositioned my fingers to come on the angle of the scapula on the opposite side. And again,
That's okay.
coming down. Fantastic. So the last muscle is our fascia lata, which is our large intestine meridian. Now this one is quite a small muscle, but it actually connects with the band of fascia that goes all the way down here. So this is the iliotibial band that a lot of people are very familiar with. It gets very tight often. So this relates to the large intestine. So what we need to do to get this one into position is we bring the leg forward slightly, but this time the foot is turning inwards. Okay. So again, using me as a support. So we bring the foot inwards, and this time my hand is on the opposite hip, and I'm applying the pressure to bring the leg back towards the other leg. How does that feel?
That was okay.
Yeah, nice and easy.
Yeah.
And again, same with this one. So foot turned inwards.
Get the balance right.
Yeah, that's right. And hold.
Yeah.
Nice and easy.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So we've now completed the muscle monitoring and the balancing techniques. So we're going to come back now to complete the remaining part of the record sheet. So we need to do our goal check. So our goal was, I am clear in my head.
Yeah.
So I want you to bring your arms ahead of you or in front of you. I want you to hold that position whilst I apply a bit of pressure. And that feels nice and steady. Now I want you to say your goal, keeping your eyes open, please.
Right.
Which is, my head is clear.
My head is clear.
How does that feel now?
Yeah.
Feels steady, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Great.
Steady.
So we have a lock, so we can say yes. And then in terms of your subjective assessment, so before you said you're about 7 out of 10, how does your head feel now?
I guess, yeah, slightly better. I don't feel it's completely, I think there's more work, obviously,
Yes, of
maybe.
course, yeah.
But yeah, maybe there is a bit more of a sort of, the pressure has eased a bit more.
So what score might you give yourself?
I'd give myself an 8.
Great.
Yeah.
So we're not looking for massive miracles here. Sometimes you do get significant change. Sometimes it's very subtle. You may not, some people might not feel that connected or able to detect any kind of change. That's okay, but we can explore that a little bit more now. So we'd put on here an 8, having had a 7 before. So that's, in my mind, that is change and that's progress. And then we just feel into the body. So we had a few little discrepancies before, didn't we? So starting with the feet, you mentioned before there was some forward weight distribution. How does that feel now?
It feels more even.
Great.
I don't feel as if I'm going so much forward. I definitely feel more my heels.
More planted.
Yeah.
Evenly. Fantastic. So then as we come up through and you talked about your hips, you talked about your sort of head, definitely that was the immediate thing. I know you said there wasn't a huge change.
Yeah.
That shoulder actually looks, I'd suggest maybe feels a bit more balanced.
Yeah, because that's something you observed, wasn't
That
it?
was more my
I think
observation.
maybe I'm just more used to it then.
Maybe,
in a way.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel definitely this, I don't feel so much going forward. That's the difference, I think, more than anything. I feel like there's more of a balance. There's more of a groundness.
Great.
Yeah.
Amazing. Fantastic. So that would be all noted in this evaluation part. So we've got that real sense of change, and then we'd get the person that you're working with to fill out the testimonial and then ask whether that's possible for them to be used in any kind of research, and you'd sign it. Make sure you put your date and obviously the level that you're on currently, because there's sometimes when there's a hole in your learning in terms of you haven't managed to do a piece of homework at this stage, you may want to come back to it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Amazing.
It's a good time, the card just filled up.